Akashic reading for simply listening. So I do have a guide coming up. I've had this guide coming up for the past few minutes, and I really can't quite make out this energy quite yet. So I'm just going to continue with how I normally begin, which is with the crystals. For each reading, I'm always drawn to certain crystals. For this one, I only pulled two, actually. Normally, I pull more than two, but normally the number to me is also significant. So I have fuchsite here, and then I have green fluorite. So as you can see, both of these are green. So they are both heart chakra stones, but also when I was receiving the code name, I was feeling a lot of nature energies with you. And there was also a very balanced energy that you have, that you naturally have. The strange thing about this guide is that it feels like your energy. Actually, it feels very similar to your energy. So this may in fact just be, actually that would honestly energetically make the most sense to me, that this would be some like a higher aspect or maybe a future aspect of yourself, because it just feels in some ways kind of identical to the energy that I feel just from your picture. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with this as a higher aspect of yourself, unless that changes, but I don't think it will, because it just feels very, very similar to your energy. And there is a very kind of calming, relaxed energy in the room, a very sort of balanced energy in the room. I keep getting that word balance, but then there was also this energy of simple. Keeping things simple, simply relaxing, and relaxing in the enjoyment of whatever it is that you're doing in the present moment. And sort of mindfulness, that was another word coming in. And of course, mindfulness has to do with the present. Meditation has to do with the present. But it doesn't really feel like, a lot of times if I'm getting the word balance, for instance, a lot of times this is a guide saying this person needs to be more balanced. Or they come in with things that the person needs to master. But in this case, getting the code name, there were a lot of things coming in that you, to a good degree, have kind of gotten settled. And I actually feel like this is, they're actually going into question 3, actually, and it's actually kind of the opposite, because question 3, they're sending me an energy. I don't want to say they. I'm feeling an energy. I can't say they. You really only have one guide coming in for this reading, and this guide, as I said, feels like you. But so this energy is getting into question 3, actually. Are there any blockages to my spiritual development? And a lot of times, guides don't tend to take the questions in order, but they normally do get to all of them, and they are all here. But anyway, yeah, this has to do with blockages, but actually the things that are really coming in right now are really the opposite of blockages. It's more like gifts and things that you are just more settled on. I keep getting that word, settled. Even that feels like a kind of relaxed type of word, to be settled down. Yeah, rest. I'm receiving that word, rest, and restful. I'm even getting the word thankful. Um, and I do get a feeling with that, that in some ways you could, um, in some ways you could be more thankful, or you could become even more grateful, and practice even more so gratitude. Um, okay, I'm getting the word restored, and I didn't understand that for a second, but your guides are basically saying for future things that haven't happened yet. So being grateful, I can't say guides, being grateful for, um, things that have been restored to you in the future. So things that you gain in the future, but you aren't seeing them now, or they aren't, prevalent now. Getting really specific words, prevalent, is coming in. Gratitude, thankful, mindfulness, all these words are coming in. So gratitude is the first thing that I am feeling like you could almost expand upon, or you could add more of, and you can never be, too grateful, really. That's only going to clear out more karma, is what I'm getting. The higher of a vibration that you're in, the higher of a frequency that you are in, the more you shed old karma. And I'm getting the feeling, so again, this is all answering question 3. I'm getting the feeling that it's like the higher of a vibration that you are in, like she's saying, or it, I'm going to say it. Um, like it's saying you shed more karma, but I'm also getting the energy that you can actually use that to your advantage to sort of influence past lives, influence karma, and you can shed karma due to this very relaxed kind of frequency, a balanced frequency that you have, to a degree, mastered, or gotten more settled on. And your guide is saying that happiness, joy, it's not really about being, super hyper. It's about maintaining, in some cases, a neutral state, even, or a calm state, which isn't necessarily neutral exactly, but a calm state where you are even keeled, where your emotions aren't going up and down like crazy. But a lot of this balance comes from nature, and the fact that you are very balanced with nature. So the thing that is really coming in to take note of would be past lives and past life karma, and that you are at an advantage now where you can clear that karma, due to just your overall, mindfulness and even well-being, um, according to your your spiritual development. So your spiritual development is somewhat, advanced, and you are kind of well along in certain areas, more than others, but kind of fairly overall, you are quite balanced. And they're saying this, it's saying this isn't really about, psychic abilities and this type of thing. This is about maintaining a calm state. Through that, you can end up accessing psychic abilities, But that's not really what it's talking about when it comes to spiritual development and sort of the way to be able to tell whether a person has really mastered themselves. Psychic abilities can hint at certain things like that, but then again, some people can have more surface psychic ability just because of DNA and not necessarily because they mastered anything in past lives. So it really has to do with the individual. However, even though your mood swings, your temperament, and your mindset can certainly be influenced from your childhood in the present lifetime, anybody's can be. At the same time, your guide is saying that still to a heightened degree that does show success in previous lifetimes when it comes to mastering who you are and yourself and getting through difficult challenges. So this guide is giving the name Ariel, showing me this hair, this like blondish red hair. It's almost like strawberry kind of hair. It has a red tint to it, but it's light. So it's not like a bright orange color. And okay, and I have to go back to something that she said a minute or two ago, and sometimes things come in so quickly that I don't say it right as it's coming in because something else comes in and I end up saying that. But when she was speaking about clearing karma, one of the things that she said was something about not only in this lifetime do you have the opportunity to simply clear karma, but actually that as you lift these energies off of yourself and you're working to clear these energies off of yourself, you actually can end up having this ripple effect where past lives actually change. Past lives, like you are a bit different in them, or certain things happen differently. And it's saying that actually this is the case many times with karma, that very often a person thinks that they are clearing karma for good in the present only. But in order to shift karma, since it has to do with the past life, you are shifting that lifetime as well. And time is an illusion. All time is happening now. Okay. Yes, this guide is a future version of yourself. Okay, good. There we go. So they're very into this whole time is an illusion, and that's very simple to them as well. This is not some outright crazy concept to them, or crazy at all. This is just fairly down to earth and keeping it simple. It is simply that time is an illusion. Keep it simple. Time is an illusion. Simpleness, okay, her. Simpleness has helped her progress. I do feel a he energy with this person also. So in some ways it is better to call her, but I'm still going to say her because that's what she's asking me to say. She's saying to say her, but I will say that there is a very androgynous feeling with this with this future version, or with this guide. Okay, again, I get this feeling of your connection to nature, and uh, these crystals, they're not only about heart chakra, and actually both of these have to do with remaining very, very calm. I didn't even think about that until just now, but green fluorite especially really has to do with being in a calm, even-keeled state, as does the site. And it really isn't, it can be somewhat about a joyful state, but more an even-keeled state. More when you're like into rose quartz and stuff, even though green fluorite, just as much as rose quartz, is a heart chakra stone still. Different ones can signify different emotions. And so with these, we really have this more calm, kind of even keeled aspect coming in, even with those. But as your guide was saying, though, nature, your connection to nature, and these two stones also very much have to do with connection to nature as well as healing through nature. They also have a lot to do with healing, especially fuchsite. Fuchsite has to do with your mental and emotional well-being, your physical well-being, and I'm also getting overall grounding as well. Okay, that makes sense because, yeah, they have to do with nature. So if you're very balanced with nature, you would tend to be more grounded. I keep on, since getting the code name, I feel almost this energy with plants, like a plant type of energy. And I do feel a plant totem around you. Now I feel a kind of animal type of totem around you as well now. So connection to nature, connection to animals, to plants, almost a telepathic bond with them as well. And also coming in that is one of your abilities. Okay, so those are some things to look at for question 3. Okay, and this is so you do have a plant and an animal totem as well, so that's also coming in for question 2. But mainly it is this future aspect, and that's really what you should work on connecting to. And her name also, she was coming in with this name, Ariel. Huh. That is kind of interesting. Well, there are a couple of Ariels. There's the Archangel Ariel, and she is female. But one connection I hadn't really thought about is Ariel from, the mermaid movie, which I'm so relaxed right now. I can't even think of what the movie is called. Um, but she, if I'm not mistaken, certainly has some light reddish hair, like some reddish blonde hair as well. And there is, obviously, with her, there's a mermaid connection. But with this with your future aspect here with this guide, I do feel a connection to fire. Actually, she's sending me the energy of a connection to fire. And I also see a kind of cat kind of energy, or a lion kind of energy coming in with her as well. And I am going to look this up real quickly here. I'm getting a feeling to, oh my, I'm getting a feeling to look up the name Ariel, what it means, and it says Lion of God. Okay. Well, that was certainly good that I looked that up then. Okay. But I do feel this water connection as well. And she did bring up that God, I cannot talk right now. That character Ariel. Sometimes in these readings, I get so like bombarded by energies that I end up just not speaking correctly. Okay. So she was sending me that as well. Okay. So I am feeling that part of it is like a youth and a charisma. Even with this character Ariel, you do kind of feel this youth and charisma and determination, and even kind of rebellion in a sense. She's going to rebel against her father. And in the original story, obviously, that wasn't a very good thing. But in the character that she's mentioning, that was more of a good thing. That was more of a good streak and more determination and drive to get the thing that she desired. But she did have to face this witch, is something that your guide is bringing up to get her voice back. And so she's saying, in what areas have you lost your voice? And to think about that. To think about restoring all areas of freedom, she's saying, but she means this in more of an inner way, more of an emotional way, and a mental way, and that can prepare you for even more physical freedom. She's saying it can manifest in that way. It can open doors, for instance, of opportunity, etc. Why do I feel a male guide now? Ooh, you're stepping back. Okay, never mind that. That guide does not really want to make themselves known for the reading, even though they're standing there. All right, so I get the feeling that you can better connect to her just by, it's about connecting to yourself, being yourself, but also this karmic thing, this karmic clearing thing, and working on clearing past karma. Some of this is already being cleared just by keeping in a pure state where you're more connected to nature. So things like diet, and even things like recycling, working with plants, working with animals, a lot of things, some of which you probably already do already for the most part. And maybe some of those things you would like to do more, but at the same time, still, I feel that you have a natural affinity for them. You have a natural affinity with nature, and keeping balanced with that. So even if you weren't going out, even if there were some points where you were not able to go out into nature a lot, I still feel that you would keep that grounding and that kind of vibration where you are feeling almost tree roots going down into the earth. There's definitely okay, there's a fairy life coming in where you had a lifetime where you were some type of fairy being and very connected to nature in that lifetime. I don't feel that that's the origin, because that's something that she is bringing up, that that's not really the origin, but I do feel that lifetime, certainly. And in this lifetime, you were very, very free. You were very relaxed, but in this very childish, sort of playful way. I feel like you had a child as well. I also feel like you were female in this lifetime. I feel like you had certain characteristics also that this future self is coming in with. So the light skin and hair and eyes. Which even to a degree, slightly, and even in this picture, I can see a bit. But her even more so. She's very light, whereas your hair seems sort of almost brown. Her hair is lighter, and in this fairy lifetime, there is sort of a resemblance in some ways. And there is this mermaid incarnation coming in as well. And then I have Lyra coming in. And here again, there's the Lyrans. I've in different readings, I have kind of brushed up against another race from Lyra. But generally, the race that people hear about are the cat people. So this kind of ties in with this lioness type of energy, this kind of Sekhmet type of energy, because I'm getting that word Sekhmet, and I'm kind of understanding where that would come in as well, because she feels very fierce. There can be different, obviously, energies for a cat type of person. Some cats feel very sensitive, very kind of dark and kind of inward, and they're very psychic and intuitive. Whereas this cat energy, it feels more authoritative, more fiery like a lion, but then there are all these other elements coming in. And so for these past lives that she's getting into, since obviously the Akashic reading is a past life reading, even though a lot of these questions are about the present lifetime, obviously she is going to get into lifetimes in the reading. And she's kind of going by way of elements. You have this fairy lifetime where there is this connection more to earth, I would say, and nature itself, but earth, like trees and why am I getting ants? An ant totem. An ant totem. Okay. Okay, I'm going to look up ant totem because that's coming in. But ants are not really about relaxing. Ants are all about working. You are easily able to see your future needs and plan for it. You have an instinctive knowledge of how to build your dreams slowly over time and are content in knowing that everything will come in time. You are the architect of your life. Your greatest successes come with persistence. You have the ability to easily work with others and have a strong sense of community goals. So there is a lot of sort of patient energy coming in with this as well, which I would definitely say that kind of goes hand in hand with balance, keeping things simple. And there is certainly a very relaxed feeling, as I've been saying, which can certainly allow for patience and um, allowing things to grow naturally. Try again. Just because it didn't work out this time doesn't mean it won't work the next time. Keep at it, you'll succeed. Work with diligence, with conviction, and work with others in order to forge your dreams and turn them into reality. Despite their tiny size, these little spirits are immensely strong. Great strength of will and accomplishment can come even in the smallest packages. I feel like that is somehow speaking about you. This immensely strong, great strength of will and accomplishment, even when it's saying can come even in the smallest packages. This all feels as if it is speaking directly about you. Okay, I'll go ahead and read this part too. Alternatively, it may be time to consider your own role, concentrate on your specialties, and make sure you are making the most of your natural gifts. However, remain aware that nothing can be accomplished without the unity of the whole. Think about how your own contributions in your career, your family, and day-to-day life fit into the larger picture. No matter how small your task or your contribution, it is still essential. So I feel almost this energy of building blocks and setting up building blocks and having the patience to do so. And yeah, knowing that things will come in their time and being willing to put in effort. And I get the sense of, but at the same time, not really for praise or for calling attention to yourself. That you are not really into those things, that you don't need those things to work hard or to be successful. So there is a lot of almost inner encouragement that you get from your own self. So naturally, it would be your future self coming through for the majority of the reading. But you do have this ant totem here. And there are some other animal totems around. Okay, I'm getting a sense that part of your life purpose in part of it in this incarnation is actually clearing karma. And you have the benefit of being in the proper state to do it. And I do feel like the feeling of security like there is a degree of security where certain things are settled, certain things are taken care of. And there are certain worries that you don't really have to think about or that aren't really placed on you in some ways. Like there's a normal day-to-day living, but at the same time, you don't have to, at the same time, you can thrive to a degree rather than simply survive and struggle to survive. So your needs are met. You are taken care of, and there is like a degree of comfort and relaxation and security. Yeah, that doesn't mean like you never have any type of struggle or you never have moments, even the other thing, you're tend to be even keeled. That doesn't mean that you never have moments. But there is this general sense of well-being and this feeling that there are less worries. You are taken care of to a fair degree, to a good degree, where you don't have to, whine and worry about just survival, basically. You don't really have to worry about that so much. And relaxation is, well, they're coming in, it's just your birthright. It's just what you're here to do, but also what you intended to do. So you wanted this relaxation and patience, but at the same time drive. Um, your future self does come in with that. So certainly that is there. But at the same time, there is this ability to reflect, think a lot over. And it's like a lot of the time you're not challenged so much that it would take you, almost forcefully remove you from the present, where you have to worry about this and that and the other thing, or worry about the future and different things like this. And so you can maintain this present mindfulness if you intend to. So you would have an easier time with that, because you are more settled, you are more secure. But this is not meaning totally just physical here. I definitely get multiple meanings with this. This is again the like a kind of an inner well-being that a lot of people do strive for. And it's not that you haven't also had to put effort in at all. It's just that you did develop that a lot, as they said, in past lives. And they're saying the calm within the storm. Like normally people say the calm before the storm, but they're saying the calm within the storm. But they're not so much meaning external struggles, they're more meaning this balance of this fire and this water and this connection to earth and connection to air. So there are these four elements, they're very balanced. This is again why we have the two. So that is part of your purpose. And that's really what they want to reveal right now. I'm not sure if they're going to say more as we continue the reading, or if that's primarily what they want to get at for this reading. And they are focusing on karma a lot. And clearing it out. Even with this mermaid energy, there is almost this mischievous type of energy like this Ariel has. She has this fire and this kind of tenacity. And mermaids kind of have a mischievous kind of streak. Even some fairies have that as well. Not only mermaids, fairies can have that as well. And she even said like a childish type of playful energy. Okay, but this word is coming in maturity, and that did come in at one point earlier too, when they were talking about your overall sense of being. And they're not just speaking about something like financial security or physical security, although to a degree, that does feel secure in the way where you can reflect more and survive less. But it also just has to do with this general sense of well-being and comfort from within. So they're saying to focus on that. To focus on that, she is saying, and then this sense of well-being will increase, and your drive will naturally come forward towards certain things that you are very drawn to. But I do certainly get a sense of nature, your connection to nature, and that this would be a very fulfilling path for you. That also somewhat has to do, in a pretty big way, this has to do with your purpose, benefiting the earth in some way, benefiting, plants, animals, or simply just the earth in general. And this can be, something on the side, even this can be a business, So it doesn't even have to necessarily be your career or something, but it is something to enjoy and something to nurture and something that you are bringing and that you bring to others, and that you can, I keep getting the word information, so it can come through in a way of you giving out information regarding environment, earth, things of this whole area, earth, nature in general, animals, the whole list, diets, maybe, anything to do with nature, plants, animals. But that does feel like something that can really fulfill you, whether, like I said, like they said, whether it is really career or whatever it is. But that certainly feels like a significant part of your purpose, having to do with benefiting the earth while you are on it in this form, and helping others even as well to benefit the earth. Now I get a feeling, so this is question 5. I do get a feeling that part of the reason that you have difficulty being around normal people, which a lot of people who are into spirituality have trouble doing. They're more sensitive. I certainly have more trouble with that. Wolf definitely has more trouble with that, certainly. And as you're saying, how can you meet others like yourself? But a lot of this just very much just feels like your connection to nature as well. There's a connection to this question 5 and your connection to nature and your connection to the elements. And whoa, I'm getting those grounded feeling, like just in my feet, like my feet want to be, whoa, so on the ground. Like even my legs are feeling so on the ground. Whoa, I'm not usually this grounded. Okay. Weird moment for the medium. Okay, but some of this just feels like it has to do with that. So they're not really getting yet into, how can you meet other people similar to yourself. They're more getting into kind of why you are that way, sort of. And this again has to do with your connection to nature. So also empathy. Empaths tend to have a stronger connection to nature and earth, and they tend to feel energies that can kind of upset them. But again, this is also good in the sense of you reflecting. And in this lifetime, since part of what you're doing here is clearing karma through this opportunity that you have, which has to do with your well-being, like the opportune state that you can produce and that you're able to find yourself in if you choose. A lot of it has to do with that. You can't really reflect as well when you have, 15 or 50 people around you, unless they are like-minded and you are having a discussion in which you are reflecting on, past lives or current things or future things that you want to, change. And they're coming in with all those time frames again, or she is, but now I mean I am feeling multiple energies now. Okay. But I'm really supposed to focus on her. Okay, that's the second time that's come in though. That's the second time I've had a fox totem coming in, but I'm not supposed to look that one up. So maybe you can look that up. All right, and that's the second time I've gotten a connection to horses as well. And that's not even so much about looking up the totem meaning, but there does feel like a connection to horses and even an animal, maybe a power animal, because it is coming in more like a guide, but at the same time, there's almost this kind of energy with that, like they're kind of saying it, but so they are kind of letting you know, but she is kind of being a little bit playful with that, but at the same time, she does want to, okay, in this case, they do want to kind of significantly keep the focus on her for some reason. All right, now I think I am allowed to say there is this male energy here as well. That does feel certainly like a guide. Okay, and he's the one connected to this horse energy, I think, but at the same time, I kind of feel the horse is power animal. So these could be two different energies. Okay, but I'm not. I don't think they're gonna get much more into that. Okay. Whoa. Okay, I feel extremely grounded to the floor, and okay, no, yeah. Once this male guide came up this second time, the first time he didn't really want me to say anything about him, but then when he came up that second time, that was my cue that yeah, now I can begin speaking about this guide, even though I still get the feeling that the focus is primarily on her, but he's just very, very present now. I feel him like out in front of me. Um, and this really not exactly heavy, um, almost kind of sleepy, trancy, or restful type of energy, and very, 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 very grounded. I even get the word dense, but not in a negative way. But I'm even like slumped over in the chair now. I normally sit up really straight. Actually, I feel so slumped over. Like I feel like I can't even move in some ways. Like I feel like I'm talking, like I'm moving my lips, but I don't really feel like I can move my body so much. Like I can, I'm sure, but like my body just doesn't want to move. Um, and this guide, this This feels like the plant totem. Okay, I did have an energy of an int coming in. So you're not exactly, uh, wait, are you, oh gosh, this is, okay, there's a separate plant totem, but this guide feels like a plant, like a tree, but at the same time, like a fairy, like some type of, there are different types of fairies though. And I almost feel like I don't just want to say fairy with this guide. But very like I do have some cards in my fairy deck actually. All of a sudden they're popping this card in my head. Um, so I'm there is a card where it says like Lord of the Forest, this type of thing. But this energy feels extremely old, very, very, very old, and very connected to the earth, very, very wise, very mindful, very present, doesn't care about time. And I have this face coming in, flashing up here on the wall, not even the wall, like out in front of the wall, and just looks very almost green manish. Looks very much like the green man's face, only it looks like a lighter green, almost like a lime green. And then also showing me an image of there's like a father god in different pantheons there is of the woods where he is like part animal. He's like part wildebeest or part elk or part deer or part goat even, and also seeming humanoid. Oh, that's this connection. That's why I felt him having a connection to horses. Okay, but there is a separate horse totem. So he was also helping to establish that. But I get more of a feeling of just in general herding animals with this being. And extremely grounded, connected to nature, so feeling like a tree, really. Um, but then at the same time, almost feeling like could have antlers or something like this, even, but it could seem more like a tree. But also that this being could look different ways, and I don't exactly feel like that's exactly how it looks. That's just more something that it's showing. Whoa. Okay, so I think Ariel is coming back in. Okay, so you're not really supposed to be connected to normal people. You know, you're meant to be grounded, you're meant to be reflecting. And clearly you have guides that help you with that. And she is a little bit more still outer and external a bit, but has really mastered the inner world. And that's why she can be. So she's really this balance of both. Whereas whereas I'm gonna repeat that, I don't because the camera just skipped. Um, but whereas with him he's very, very connected to nature. Um, so he is more inward in some ways, still outward because of this herd animal vibration, though I would say. Okay, so even there's a balance. Um, Ariel is showing me this circle, and she's actually creating this circle with stones. And she is all of a sudden talking about calling on the elements. And that could really, really empower you. Okay, but, and she's saying that that was random. Um, but even with helping you draw others um, like you to yourself, or even with meeting other goals. So this feels more like setting intentions in a sacred space and calling guardians into the space. I do this when I set my sacred space. I call guardians into the space. Another thing I get a feeling of is even fairy offerings. So things that you could do to help you connect more to yourself. Again, as you connect more to yourself, the life purpose question is going to be resolved much more so. However, I do get so not exactly resolved, but just stepping on it more and more. But you are on it, certainly, even if not fully in like in every way or in every area. Still, to a good degree, you are on it. And you are walking down the path of getting there in certain other areas. and fixing those areas or settling those areas. And so as you connect yourself more and more, this is just going to come up more and more, especially since part of how she's really wanting you to connect to her and to yourself is really by sitting out in nature, spending time out in nature as much as possible, as much as you can. And even, having like animals around you or pets around you as much as you can, or working with animals, just being around animals, being in their space as much as is possible, trees as well, and plants, working with plants or vegetation and soaking in energies from the sun. I'm getting even water. So again, the four elements. And this, she's saying, this really completes who you are. It's representative of you. These elements and the earth herself and your bond to it, your connection to it. And they're not saying that you have no star connections, right? Even earlier, there was a star connection coming into Lyra. So they're not saying that you have no star connections necessarily, and clearly not, since the Lyra thing was mentioned, but they are speaking about your bond to Earth. And your voice, again, losing your voice and getting it back. Okay, and they want to be vague about that. Like, I want to ask them, what do you mean? You guys are very specific about what they want to say. Who's going to talk, when they're going to talk, how they're going to talk, what they're going to say, what's going to be revealed during the reading. All guides, they have their topic for the reading. Other than just the questions, they have their slant on the questions, so all guides are certainly this way to a degree, even to a high degree, but still there is, in some ways, your guides are being very specific with certain things, even certain wording. They have a certain way that they want to say things, and certain things that they want to say, and certain things that they won't say at this time. Okay, so they are showing me the they're showing me another planet, and it's actually in a lot of ways they're very, very, very similar things to Earth, and that's something that they keep showing me. Like I'm literally seeing a swing, and I'm seeing a child and a mother, and the child's in the swing, and the mother is pushing it. But these people are very, very alien. I even saw they were showing me fruit that looked almost like an apple, like it looked similar to our fruit, and they opened it and it had the seeds inside. And again, they're just showing me similarities, like so there's a similar way that the trees, the plants grow and things, and how how they are distributed, how the seeds are distributed so that the plants can grow and the vegetation can grow. And there were some similar types of life forms, animals, and obviously some very different. There was also sand, and in some ways a similar but different sort of atmosphere, but very um, tangible in comparison to Earth, like meaning tangible in the way that human beings could relate to it. Human beings might even be able to survive there. I feel like due to the air, there would be some complications with breathing. And so they might have to have some kind of machine or something, a human being, but they would be able to breathe the air through some kind of device or something, which these aliens actually have. They have equipment like that, and they are aware of other aliens, other life forms, and other aliens do visit them. Not human, but other extraterrestrials do visit them there. Your guides like that I said that I said not human after I said that other aliens visit them. Because obviously on that planet, human beings would be aliens. They would be considered the aliens or the outsiders in a sense to those inhabitants here who would not consider themselves to be aliens, obviously, of that world that they inhabit, that they occupy. So the appearance of these beings that I'm seeing was very, very different. They're quite small and they have very large heads. And they also have three eyes, like they literally had a third eye. No, they do not have a third eye. That was to be representative of how developed their third eye is, that they've mastered psychic abilities. Um, and they have a very high degree of spiritual development, which is very advanced compared to a human's. But I will say that they are definitely not gray. They are small and they do have large heads, but they're definitely not that species. The head looks quite different and bigger, like in the brain sort of area, and the forehead is large here where there is an area for a third eye. So the forehead is large, and then the brain area is larger than ours. And again, part of this is because of how much they have developed their psychic abilities, and their brains needed more room in their head. So I get the feeling that along their evolution, their heads were actually much smaller at one point in their evolution and their spiritual and psychic awareness and development over time and over generations. So this is a type of extraterrestrial that you have been in a past lifetime. And this is coming in as Octurian. Now there may be obviously different, there could be different types of extraterrestrials from Arcturus, because a lot of times I do have readings like that, especially since there are other dimensions, of the same planets and these different types of things. But yeah, this is this is a being. This is a being that they are describing and saying is from Arcturus or Arcturus. So this being comes from one Arcturian planet. And this culture, in some ways, they're very advanced technologically, and much more so than we are. Vastly beyond us with technology, but at the same time, I get the feeling that they focus more on their inner world and their spiritual development and their psychic development to the point that some of the other races do have higher technologies than them. But they could easily advance in that way. They just don't care to become so advanced in that way yet. But they are very balanced. They are very reflective. And they are very at home and settled and secure. And I'm getting the feeling that they don't frighten. Like, not even normally the saying is they don't frighten easily, but they're saying, she's saying it isn't even so much that they don't frighten easily, it's just that they don't frighten at all. That they are fearless to, like, where their fear is almost completely removed, where consciously it's totally non-apparent, totally unapparent. They have children, the children aren't afraid, the parents know how to help them to feel very, very secure. Their heightened abilities make them feel very, very secure. For instance, they're telepathic with all animals. Even if they were not telepathic with wild animals, their psychic abilities would let them know of anything to avoid. And so they can really, 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 really trust themselves. And that is really the highest thing that you can do. when it comes to how to develop spiritually. You have to trust yourself. You have to go within. You have to spend time with yourself. You have to reflect. You have to get to know yourself and to trust what you get, to trust what comes through, to trust your intuition at all costs and at all times, meaning do what it says. And they're saying, and that would be a phenomenal leap in humanity if everybody would do what their intuition says. This feels more like it could be the origin in some ways. I know this isn't an origin reading, but this does feel like it is more likely the origin. Or it could be. I'm not getting a definite on that, but I'm certainly getting a suggestion of that. Like a strong suggestion that it could be, but at the same time, almost to research it and that it could lead you to the ultimate origin, even. Or you could find out that, yes, this is the origin. But either way, they want you to use your mental capacity. Well, and I do feel beings standing around me now. Still, there is this pull towards her, this focus on Ariel. But at the same time, there are these beings kind of standing around now. And again, I'm getting Arcturians. And these are healers. These are teachers. They are very telepathic. They are compassionate. They're telepathic with nature, with animals, with plants. They communicate with one another telepathically. And they are very advanced. They're very advanced beings. I don't know if I said this earlier, but actually I did get a feeling of multiple, like there was more than one type of humanoid that had evolved on the planet, maybe even multiple ones, actually. But there were definitely two different, almost races on the planet. I do get the feeling that the other one is a little bit less developed than this one, and that they're kind of helping them along, but not in the way of messing with their DNA, just in the way of almost helping them to survive or cope with the environment, or even to have shelter. So they helped them evolve as far as mentally, their mental capacity, just by stretching it. So by teaching them things, not by evolving their DNA with, you know, with unnatural science, through unnatural scientific means, like the Anunnaki did. So they just mean they helped them, like in the purest way, keeping it simple, keep it simple. They helped them. So in a similar way that some positive ET races have reached out to us and helped us with certain mental capacity for growth and also technology and just understanding, mathematically, scientifically, alphabetically even, I get a feeling of. So that's really the last life that they want to go into. That was the life that they went into really detail about. The others, they more spoke briefly about, but they don't really want to get into more past lives. And the main thing, again, she's saying, that they want you to take from it is trusting yourself, trusting your intuition at all costs, doing what it says. And they're also saying and flowing with that, or that what they're saying is that there will be like a flow that's created, a vibration that is sent out through that intent. They're also talking about protecting yourself. She's also talking about protecting yourself empathically, and also that spending more time out in nature will really help you to do that. But again, they're saying as much as possible. So it may not always be possible, maybe even depending on weather, or who knows, well, but, or it could even just be busyness, but as much as possible to spend time around, to spend time outside, but even, doesn't even necessarily have to be outside. If you can't always be outside, or to even just, not even just if you can't always be, but it's just always also coming in, spending time with animals, trees, plants, and connecting to nature through more communication, or even emotional bonds with animals, with plants. And yes, you can have an emotional bond with a plant, they are saying. Not that you necessarily needed to hear that. Now, as far as question 6, what they are saying about that, I don't feel like they're going to answer the crystal child question. Actually, I actually feel like I would actually need pictures of them, and to connect to their guides. So what your guides are saying is more concerning you, your mission, is to help them in the same way that you would other people. Obviously in more ways since they are your kids, but still here they're referring to nature in the same way that you would help yourself by connecting to nature, maybe even spread information about the earth, nature. It doesn't have to be information, but it could be spreading awareness in some way, or just helping in some way others as well to connect to nature. You yourself connecting to nature through meditation as well would be good. And that's something that I've seen a few times, is you meditating, and also you meditating next to trees as well, and feeling like you are connecting to their root systems, and your own roots are going down into the ground, and you do have them. in the literal sense, so etherically. Okay, so this would be the fairy lifetime where you were more connected to trees and to earth, things like this. Really? This is a past, really? So this is a past self. So this male energy is actually a past self as well. This is another aspect of yourself. Well, this wasn't as easily recognizable as the other one. The other one was very easily recognizable as a future self. It felt very similar to you. This feels a bit more removed. Um, because it feels very, very, very earth-like, very tree-like, very dense, very, very old, um, and very int-like, very fairy-ish. So it just does not feel human, really, humanoid. So in some ways human, but more in the way that an int would kind of be human. If you don't know what I mean by int, um, just look it up on Lord of the Rings. It's ENT. So like basically a humanoid tree that can move and walk around basically. What was weird was I thought that when I sensed that life before, I sensed this, oh, okay, this can't be the same life. This isn't the same life then, because I know I sensed somebody female um, in the fairy life, and that energy that I sensed from that past life did not feel as tree-like as this one. But anyway, to finish off, so with your kids, part of the way to help them is in the way that it's your mission to even help others, which is through awareness about nature and helping them even set goals for themselves that are like in the way of how can they help the environment more? What are things that they are doing that can sort of offset the balance of the environment? What ways can they help in that? Even things like being outside in nature, you know, and just helping them to restore that balance, basically, helping them to connect to the earth, to Mother Earth, and to feel good about it, to feel good about that, and connecting to animals and connecting to plants, and especially animals. I almost sense um, that they need to feel more connected to that, and that they could feel more connected to that. It's easy to connect to an animal. It's easy to feel connected to that. And I do see the word disconnect, almost feeling that they are different from animals, but also that that is a way to connect would be through the animal kingdom, even more so than the plant kingdom, but plants as well, to help them to help them grow in that area, because that just sets them in harmony with nature, basically. Okay, so that is all that your guides have to say. So thank you very much, Simply Listening, for allowing me to do this Akashic reading for you. And I truly hope that this benefits you. Namaste.